What if everything you've been told about retirement withdrawals is completely wrong? What if the rule you've been following, the one plastered across every financial planning website, every advisor's PowerPoint deck, every retirement brochure handed to you across a polished desk, is slowly bleeding your savings dry without you even knowing it? Stay right here. Because in the next few minutes, everything you thought you knew about spending in retirement is about to get flipped upside down. Welcome back to Senior Pulse US, the channel that tells you what the suits in the finance world would rather you didn't hear. I'm so glad you're here today, because this one matters. You've heard of the 4% rule. Almost every retiree has. Withdraw 4% of your savings per year, and statistically, your money should last 30 years. That's been the gospel of retirement planning since 1994. A researcher named William Bengen ran the numbers, looked at historical market data, and said 4% is your safe harbor. But now there's a new number floating around, 7%. And some advisors, some influencers, some YouTube channels are telling retirees they can safely pull 7% a year from their portfolios without running out of money. Some are even calling the 4% rule outdated, overly conservative, a relic of the past. So here's the question that should be keeping you up at night. Can you really spend 7% in retirement? Or is someone out there setting people up for the most devastating financial mistake of their lives? Let's slow down and actually look at the math, because the math does not lie, and the math is where the truth lives. Say you retire with $500,000 saved. At 7%, you're pulling out $35,000 in year one. Sounds reasonable, right? But here's where it gets dangerous. You're not just withdrawing money, you're removing capital that can no longer grow. And if the market dips in your first few years of retirement, which it absolutely can and has done repeatedly throughout history, you're withdrawing from a shrinking pot. That's called sequence of returns risk, and it is the silent killer of retirement portfolios. At 4%, that same $500,000 gives you $20,000 in year one. Less money, yes, but you've left $480,000 in the market working for you. The difference in how long your money lasts between those two withdrawal rates isn't just a few years. We're talking about the difference between running out of money at 78 versus having something left at 90. Run those numbers over a 25 or 30-year retirement, and a 7% withdrawal rate starts to look less like a strategy and more like a countdown timer. Now here's what some advisors won't tell you, and I want you to lean in close for this part because this is the part they quietly gloss over in the sales pitch. The 7% argument often relies on average market returns. And yes, historically, the stock market has averaged somewhere around 7 to 10% annually over long periods. But average is a dangerous word when you're living year to year in retirement. Averages hide the valleys. They smooth over the brutal years, the 2008 crashes, the 2020 drops, the extended flat periods where your portfolio barely breathes. Averages don't pay your grocery bills in February when the market is down 20%. Retiring in 1929, retiring in 1966, retiring in 2000. People who did that and withdrew aggressively watched their life savings crumble in real time. The sequence of those bad years at the beginning of your retirement is what determines whether you make it to the finish line with dignity or whether you're calling your kids for help at 82. So why is the 7% idea gaining traction? A few reasons. Interest rates have shifted. New financial products exist. Some people are making the argument that retirees today have more flexibility, can cut spending if markets drop, have Social Security as a cushion, or own their home outright. And here's where I'll be honest with you, because Senior Pulse US is about giving you the real picture, not a comfortable one. For some retirees in very specific situations, a slightly higher withdrawal rate might be sustainable. If you have guaranteed income from Social Security or a pension covering your basics, if your portfolio is large enough that even significant losses won't touch your lifestyle, If you're willing and able to flex your spending in down years, then your personal number might be slightly above 4. But blanket advice saying 7 is the new safe number? That's not financial planning. That's gambling with the years you've worked your entire life to reach. Here's what you actually should be doing. First, get clear on your guaranteed income. Social Security, pension, annuity payments. These are your floor. Your portfolio withdrawals should supplement that floor, not replace it entirely. Second, stress test your plan. What happens if the market drops 30% in your first 3 years of retirement? Can your plan survive that without you running out of money at 85? Third, consider a flexible withdrawal strategy. Take less in down years. Take a bit more in strong years. Don't lock yourself into a rigid percentage regardless of what the market is doing. And fourth, be deeply skeptical of anyone who gives you a single number without understanding your full picture. Your retirement isn't a statistic, it's your life. At Senior Pulse US, we talk about this stuff because too many retirees find out the hard way that the advice they got was built for someone else's situation, not theirs. The 7% conversation isn't inherently evil, but it becomes dangerous the moment it gets repeated without context, without caveats, and without the hard, honest truth that if you're wrong, there is no do-over. You cannot unretire. You cannot go back and unspend the money that ran out. And that's what makes retirement planning different from every other financial decision in your life. So before you let anyone talk you into a number that feels generous, ask them to show you the downside scenario. Ask them what happens if markets underperform for the next decade. Ask them what your plan looks like when you're 84 and the cushion is gone. If they can't answer that clearly and confidently, you walk out of that office. You've earned this retirement. Protect it like it matters, because it absolutely does. If this video gave you something to think about, please hit that like button right now. It genuinely helps more people like you find this channel. Subscribe to Senior Pulse US so you never miss the conversations that actually move the needle for your financial future. And drop a comment below telling me what withdrawal rate you're working with or what questions you have. I read every single one. Stay sharp, stay protected, and we'll see you in the next one.